He leads us all the way, playing proper football, the Chef United way. Ale, 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 ale.
Lads, welcome back to the Chef United way. How are we all doing out there? Now, I only said that because one of our guests made me do that to get him on here. So, yeah, I've not said that for a long time. And actually, looking at the stats and the analytics behind YouTube, there's not a lot of women that watches anyway. So, yeah, love to all the women out there. Don't know why I said that, but we're going to be talking about Patrick Bamford today. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to be saying too much in this video, just asking the questions to my good friend, might as well bring him in now, Ollie, and also another really good friend, Connor. How we doing, boys?
How we doing? How we doing?
Not bad, not bad. I was shocked when you brought lads back, Nick. I'll be honest with you. I was like, lads a thing again. Is this what we're doing?
I feel
It's Connor's
17 again.
Oh my god, that makes me feel so old. So old. So, who's going to be pro and who's going to be con? Let me know.
I think I'm going to be relatively con on this one, Nick. I have concerns around the transfer, the rumours, everything in general. And they're not just, about the fact that he's a bit of a sticky character, shall we say, in terms of some of the things he said about United in the past. I think there's even more fundamental issues than that on the pitch that cause me significant concerns. James knows what we're talking about, but it even goes beyond that. So I'll be your con for the evening, shall we say?
And
thank you very much.
Pro.
And Con, you're going to be a pro?
Very happy about this. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I don't like to hear that, and I'm going to cut you off right there and then. I love the fact that we've got Ollie and Con finally together. You've probably chatted together at some point. I can't remember if you've done a video together. However, I hold you both in such high esteem because I think you're both extremely knowledgeable, very measured, and you've always got a trick up your sleeve when I'm asking you about anything. So tonight, this is going to be very, very simple for me. Like I said, I'm not going to be saying a lot, but I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. So first and foremost, Patrick Bamford, he's out of contract. He's an experienced striker, and he's linked with a blade. Simply, would you take him at Bramall Lane, Ollie?
No, not for me, because it screams of we've panicked again for me. I'm looking at, Patrick Bamford, and I'm looking at what he's done in recent years. And if it was 2021 and we were looking for a striker, would I take Patrick Bamford? I'd have considered it. I'd have thought there might be something in there. He was obviously at that time a goal scorer, somebody who you thought you could rely on. It was just before we got into a long run of significant injury difficulties. It felt to me as though there used to be a player there. He's played for England. Let's not pretend that this is somebody who isn't any good. He's had a very good career in terms of where he's been at. But this stage of his career, we're talking about, is he going to play very often? Is he going to sit in the injury room? Is he going to be expected to contribute? Last season, I think he played 200 minutes over 17 games for Leeds, didn't contribute any goals, didn't contribute any assists. It's a long time since Patrick Bamford has been an effective footballer, never mind an effective footballer for a team trying to dig themselves out of a mess, basically playing with one up front. It's a huge amount to ask of somebody who hasn't really proved himself physically in the last 18 months that he's going to have anything to offer at that kind of level. I don't see why we would throw the wages at it. Short term, yes, we are really short up front. Yes, we are lacking bodies and we need somebody. So I do completely understand why we'd lean towards it. But why pay somebody to come in for 6 weeks and sit in our fitness room? I just don't understand what we're going to get out of that. His most likely outcome is that he's going to be injured.
Yeah, and Colin, I'm going to throw it over to you. And if you say you don't want him, then this video is ruined. So come on.
Yeah. So. Oh.
Start again.
Yeah, sorry, boys. I think you lost me for a second. So, would he have been my first choice before we started the season? Absolutely not. Ollie McBurney would have been my first choice, coincidentally. However, looking at the options that we've got up front at the moment, we've got Danny Ings, we've got Tom Cannon, who I don't even want to talk about, we've got Tyrese Campbell. Ryan Oney, I'm not too sure what sort of role he's going to be playing moving forwards, and I can see him going out on loan in January anyway, to be honest. But Bamford fits a completely different profile to the strikers that we've got on the books at the moment. Danny Ings, Fox in the box, bit of link-up play, late runs into the box to try and get onto the end of crosses. Bamford gives you a completely different dynamic. We've been going long. A lot of the time, Cooper's been playing a lot of long balls, and we've been trying to win aerial battles with people that are not known for their aerial prowess. Bamford is not just a big target man that you aim for. He is also a footballer. His footballing ability is very underrated, in my opinion. I think he is a good footballer, but he gives us that target man option where we can aim to get it into him from defense to attack and start an attack in the opponent's half rather than hoofing the ball up, the defense winning it, and then us starting an attack from our own half. It's been very counterproductive. I don't want him to be the out-and-out target, the out-and-out starting number 9 until January, or God forbid, until the end of the season. But do I think that he can make a difference in the short term and maybe get us out of a little bit of a rut? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no-brainer. Going to be big wages, and obviously there's big concerns about his injury history. But if we do get a tune out of him, I'm sick to death of saying that about United players. Yeah, it's going to be a very shrewd signing if we can get him playing. And I think it tells you all you need to know that Wilder is wanting him. They've not exactly had the best personal history in the world, have they? Wilder clearly sees something. So I'm going to trust it and say, yes, I think he's going to be able to sign him if we get him.
Yeah, it feels like a typical Wilder-sided, doesn't it? I was going to ask you that question, actually, Con. I was going to say, how do you feel about the song? Let's call it the song. We're not going to say the lyrics out loud because we're a family PG channel. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's just... I hated that. I hated that so much. It's like when anyone says honking, it really winds me up.
Yeah,
I say it all the time.
You do. You do.
I do, yeah.
So,
well, Con, how do you feel about the song and the relationship and the back and forth?
So, I think it says a lot how Wilder and Bamford feel about it. If they're willing to have a conversation, they clearly see it as banter. I see it as banter. We had Wilder stood on tables after beating Wednesday last season singing sausage roll. He gives it out. He's got to be able to take it back. And Wilder did start this with Leeds, to be fair, by calling them all Muppets after we got promoted over them in the Wilder versus Bielsa season. So they've both taken it on the chin. They've taken it as what it is. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Words will never hurt me. Gary Medine called Billy Sharp a fat little pig. Ended up coming to us. He was a little bit of a cult hero, weren't he, Gary Medine? He was very chalk and cheese. A lot of people didn't like him, but he always worked hard for the badge every single time we were on the pitch. So it don't bother me. At the end of the day, I've seen a lot of players that have played for Wednesday and that have said negative things about us before come to us. Leon Clark, for example. I think every single United fan hated Leon Clark before he came to the club. And now he's more beloved by United fans than he is Wednesday fans. So it's one of them. Nothing matters from before the time that he first pulls on a Sheffield United shirt. The only thing that matters is what he does in a Sheffield United shirt if he pulls a Sheffield United shirt on.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, because this is not a foregone conclusion. We've just, the reason why I've put more weight in it today is because BBC have actually gone out there and said this is what's occurring. So clearly there's something that's going on. Obviously, it still may not happen. But Ollie, I want to ask you, is this the right move for Sheffield United right now, or is this a backward step? Because January, I'm going to say, is just around the corner, but there's a lot of games of football before January. So should we wait until January to bring in a player? Or should we, press the panic button and bring in this player?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, one of the scariest stats I've seen recently is we've got 17 games between now and deadline day. And then I think it's 17 games from deadline day to the end of the season. So, no, we can't just wait and wait and wait and pin all of our hopes on what happens through a January window. We've got to find ways and solutions of getting through that. I think the reason this one really sticks out to me is I don't know how it does necessarily resolve the issues that we are finding in the squad right now. I think what it does is it gives us somebody to come off the bench for 10 minutes at the end of a game. Yes, it gives us somebody who might, in 10 minutes, be able to force a mistake, might be able to sort of give us a different way of getting out from the back. But is that really what this current Sheffield United team needs? It's not what I see in front of me where I think we need to be able to do that. I think his record in terms of goals, assists, in terms of minutes played really concerns me. And that's the bit that makes us a step back for me. It feels like what's happened is we've come into this last run of games. We've started it really well. You know, we've got the 2 wins back to back against Watford and Blackburn, and we felt as though we were on a high moving forward, really trying to build from there. We've then had a bad run of results where we don't know how to fix it. We've noticed that our attackers aren't contributing in the way that we would want them to. We're seeing Tyrese Campbell looking out of form. We're seeing Danny Ings still working his way up to full fitness. We're seeing Tom Cannon be the exact same thing that we've seen from Tom Cannon for 12 months. And so we've decided, oh no, panic button, we need a striker. But as I said there, Danny Ings has taken a long time to work himself up to fitness, to work himself up to being in a position where he can start games of football for United, to work himself up to a position where he can contribute and actually start to look effective in the game. If we have to wait that long for Bamford to be fit, it's January anyway. It feels like one of those where we're gambling a lot on 6 weeks in which he might not play any football. And that to me is why I'm against this one. I think if you said to me, he's fit, he's ready, and he can contribute, and he'll score the winner at Hillsborough in a couple of weeks' time, sign me up. I'm in. Yeah, tick that box. But if you said to me what the more realistic scenario is, as I see it, which is that between now and January, he'll play a grand total of around 45 minutes of football and will likely have cost us quite a lot of money for those 45 minutes. It seems to me as though it's a panic for the sake of it because we've decided we want a body rather than a considered strategy to bring in the right players into the club to improve us and take us forward.
So, Nick, just before you move on from that, am I right to just make another point on what Ollie said? So,
Yes,
I
please.
had exactly the same concerns that you had, that you have regarding Bamford. I had those same concerns about Riedewald. However, Riedewald comes straight in and he's been playing games with us straight away. I don't think we'd be looking at Bamford or even considering him as an option if at maximum he's 2 weeks away from being able to play, because there's not much time between now and January for him to be able to make an impact, and he's going to want to earn himself a longer contract than January. He's not going to want to just come in for 2 months, is he? Bamford's an established championship striker. I think everybody can agree with that. He earns good money. He's going to want to carry on earning good money. So it's that's one of the concerns that's been put to the back of my head, because I don't think we'd be considering this deal if he isn't available for the here and now to make an impact.
So how does he make an impact, Con? Where would you play him? Don't sit up front. I know you're going to do that. Where would you... Does he
stick him
play
up left
his
wing,
own?
see what happens.
We probably would as well. We probably would.
Probably.
Would you play him in a 2? Would you play him up front on his own with supporting cast? What would you do with him?
I think this is tailor-made to play with a 2 now. I think Bamford and Campbell or Bamford and Ings, big man to win the flick-ons. Because Ings, I've seen a couple of people giving him a little bit of stick, saying that he's not quick. He's the quickest striker that we've got at the club. He's quicker than Campbell.
No, he's not. No,
he is.
Not.
He's honestly, the Southampton game, I think, who was it that he went up against and he absolutely left him for dust? He gave him about 10, 15 yards and he managed to run on to end up ball. And I thought, Campbell's never doing that in a million years. And 32, 33-year-old Danny Ings is showing him how it's done. But if you look at it, I think if we can get Bamford to be a 60-minute man or even a 45-minute man, I think he offers a lot to the squad, especially in a 2. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a 1 with wingers, but I'd more want to have a look at that potentially in January, because I don't think we're set up to be able to play wingers at the moment. I don't trust Andre Brooks as a winger. obviously Gus is going to be back fit for the derby. That's going to be interesting, seeing what Gus can do with maybe a Patrick Bamford and a Danny Ings in the team, if he can get back to his previous form. But personally, I'd want to see him up top in a 2.
Fair enough. Ollie, I want to throw this back to you on the con side. Is this blocking a pathway for, let's just say Ryan O'Neill? I was going to say younger players, but it's only Ryan O'Neill, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think that's one of the questions. And I think that's one of the big questions that is probably coming into answer. I think we've seen Ryan O'Neill. We've seen his contributions so far this season. And if we're honest, he looks too raw to be ready to really contribute for United. We have to recognise the position that we're in. And in the situation we are in, last year, O'Neill could come off the bench for 10 or 15 minutes in a team that was winning, that was confident, that was doing really well. And you'd kind of go, oh, look at him. He's run about and put himself about a bit. He's done all right. He's contributed. Now, when he comes on for 10 minutes and he runs about and he contributes and he does what he can do, you go, we're never going to score a goal with that strike force, are we? So I can completely understand that, yes, it probably does block One's running the team right now. It means that what is currently his space on the bench, his opportunity as big man sub to come on, will be taken by somebody else. I don't necessarily think that's in itself a bad thing, because One's not ready to play that role. And we need somebody to come in and do that role more effectively, more consistently. And if we're honest, with more of an actual goal threat about him than One does that. Bamford could be that player. I think if Con's right, and if Bamford comes to us fit and ready to contribute and ready to play games of football, then certainly he is a better option off the bench than Ryan One is. I don't doubt that. And I think in the position we're in, we shouldn't be worried too much about youth development, and we should be thinking, how do we stay in the Championship? But that's the key bit. He's got to be ready to play. And that's why that's really the reason I've fallen on the wrong side of this, is that I think the Patrick Bamford we've seen for the last three-ish seasons has been a player who's not been consistently able to keep himself fit and contributing.
Yeah, so let's put the injury worries to one side. Let's
never
park the fact that he's barely played any games of football in recent seasons. If right now, Patrick Bamford, Danny Ings, Tyrese Campbell, Tom Cannon, Ryan One, all fit, they're all still at this age. We're not talking about Danny Ings 10 years ago. They're all fit right now. What's the hierarchy, Con?
That's a tough one, because last season it definitely would have been Campbell. I am still going to go Campbell number 1, because I think you have got to consider age. Campbell is the present and the future. He's got the ability and the experience to be able to be a good striker at this level now, but he's also got room for improvement as well. So I go Campbell first, Danny Ings second, Bamford third, One 4th, Cannon 12th.
I was really looking forward to you listing so many other people. I thought you were going to be like Marsh in 5th, Antoine Hackford in 6th. You know, we'll just keep listing all of them.
Club physio before Cannon. That'll do for me.
I want to throw that question back at you all.
You're
trying to remember what the question was, weren't you? The hierarchy of the 5.
I broadly remember. Campbell, obviously, number 1. I think I'd probably agree. I think as a hierarchy, that's probably the right way of looking at it. I think it probably ends up being Campbell, Ings, Bamford. If I'm honest, I think Cannon and One at this stage, I mean it with no disrespect to One, but I think in terms of goal threat, in terms of actually being able to contribute going forward, I think they'd probably be on a par for me. I'd maybe put One a little bit ahead because he's got better physical characteristics. He's more likely to hurry a defence. He's more likely to win the headers and hold it up. I did think Cannon was much improved. I thought he had his best 45 minutes in a United shirt at Coventry when he was in a front 2, when he was working with Campbell. Maybe there's something there we could have built on. Clearly, Wilder didn't think so, because he then dropped him, didn't even bring him on against QPR. And I think that tells us everything we need to know about what Cannon's role in the team's going to be. So, yeah, I'd say that's probably the right order, 1 to 5.
I don't think I threw this to you before, Ollie, about whether it's 1 up front or 2 up front. What would you be more inclined to play? Because it does seem if we bring in another striker, he's got to start playing 2 up front more regularly.
I love the way you said another striker as if we've got loads though there. It does in my head we've got none. I'm like, we haven't got any strikers, and then suddenly we're going to play 5. It's going to be bizarre.
No, but if we've got one up front, then you've got sort of 3 or 4 on the bench, haven't you? Here, so you're in Neil Warnock territory.
Peak times. Take me back, man. Take me back. I think you have to.
You
play
weren't there, were you? You
Yeah.
weren't there.
Of course I was. First
You're
season
too young.
2000.
If that means that we don't have to see Adam Davies on bench no more like the Warnock days, that'll do for me.
Yeah, that's a deal worth making. I think you've got to play 2 up front. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, in terms of performances generally, I thought the last 2 against Coventry and QPR had been an improvement on what we'd seen before. I felt as though Derby at Bramall Lane was probably a line in the sand where we realised what we were doing just was not good enough. It wasn't able to win games, to impose ourselves on the opposition. We were creating too much threat against ourselves defensively. And so I think we had to move that anyway. My worry with playing 2 up front is I do think it takes away the only positive of our season so far. I think it stifles Callum O'Hare. I think we've seen 2 quite weak performances from him in the last 2 because he's moved out towards the left. He's operating in a completely different role and therefore he's less likely to be on the ball, less likely to be in a creative position. Is that a bad thing? Not at all, if it means the team play better as a general sort of grouping. But I do think it's something we need to consider when looking at those options. If Bamford comes in, I could only imagine him playing in a 2. I can't really see any scenario where we try to use him as 1 up front because we've just not got a team built to be able to service him as a 1 up front. Our wingers don't get down the wing and whip the ball in. We're not creating chances in that way. I also think, again, you know, even fully fit, I would query how well Bamford would hold up to being a 1 up front, getting battered around by defenders week in, week out. And so you'd want him to have that second partner. You'd want him to be working off somebody to try and create that little bit of extra threat, I suppose, which would give them both better chances.
Connor, you are the pro man, and I think we're all like kind of trying to look at pros right now because we've done the pros and we've done the cons. If he's going to sign for Sheffield United, we need to look at the pros. Is he a man for the dressing room? Because he doesn't strike me as a man for the dressing room. However, when Leeds have had all the celebrations and stuff, he always seems to be at the forefront. So he seems quite a quiet lad. We all know he's a very posh lad. Do you think he'd be good for the dressing room?
So I were actually, it's crazy that you asked me this. I was looking into this earlier. He's very well liked in dressing rooms that he's been in previously. He was very well liked at Borough and he was very, very well liked at Leeds by management and players. So I think you can question, is his personality something that we ideally want as Sheffield United fans? Probably not. But if he's professional enough to put all that to the side, comes in, trains hard, makes sure that he's on time, puts in a shift on the pitch every single time and gets involved in the celebrations, doesn't keep himself to the side and think that he's better than everybody else. So no, it's a no-brainer to me. I think Wilder, even though they've had their clashes in the past, public clashes, we all know that Wilder likes that sort of person that can have a bit of banter and can have a laugh and a joke and give it and take it. I think that's what Wilder's looking at. I think he's thinking that that could potentially be a character that could make a difference in the dressing room. I don't think he's going to be a leader. I can't imagine him shouting at anybody. I'd probably laugh at him if he shouted at me. But he, from what I've seen, it does seem like he is quite the professional. And even though he does have his injury issues, he does look after himself in other ways in terms of his nutrition and things like that. So I don't think we can really go wrong. I don't think we can question that too much because there's nothing that's come up previously that would make you question his attitude or his personality as being an issue.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this back to you, Ollie, because I want you to say some nice things about Patrick Bamford in regards to his footballing style, because Con's mentioned a few times that he's a big man, or reference the fact that he's a big man and he's gonna put himself about and win headers and stuff. He's only 6'1", Con. He's only 6'1". So
I think that's a lie.
I don't think
so I think he's like 6'2", 6'3", because he's fantastic in the air. I've seen him win loads. So, well, it was for Ollie anyway, not for me. I do apologise.
No, well, I think he's 6'1".
That's not a good thing. You're supposed to be saying good things about
Oh, sorry,
it.
am I being positive now? I
he's-
apologise. He's
so
6'5".
So his link-up play, his finishing has always kind of been his bread. Wow, his finishing's always been a bit here or there. But his link-up play has been really good. His movement in the box is occasionally Billy Sharp-esque, and he does like to sort of beat his man and get to the ball first. Is he what we need right now? I've maybe just had that already, and I want you to say some nice things. Is he what we need right now? Because do we have that sort of striker?
No, he's a different profile to what we've got, and he gives us a different option so that we can mix up the way that we want to play. Certainly, at his best, he's going to be somebody who moves better in the box. We saw it against QPR where there must have been 2-3 times where there was a beautiful cross into the box. It's whipped right across the face of goal and there was nobody there trying to knock it in. No one there, just being the person who was going to find it, get on the end of it. I think he gives us that threat. I think we're the team so far in the Championship who have taken the most corners. By my count, I think we've scored once off a corner so far this season. That was Coventry away. I think that's the only time. And so we then need somebody who's going to bring more of that threat. And I think he can offer that threat as well from set pieces. His movement to get away from the defenders, being another body in the box who's big, physical, able to win those headers is going to be really important. I think he's a player who plays a lot for me in streaks. If you can get him going and he gets a goal early, he very well could be somebody who scores 4 or 5 games in a row, because that's been the story of his career. I think, my friend Ali from Not the Top 20 always used to call it being on Bamford Island, because basically if you invest enough money in Patrick Bamford, when he gets on a streak, he will score goals consistently for a long time. It's just that you have to ride out all of the rough waves of him being on a barren run to get to the gold of him actually starting to hit the back of the net. And so it's all about how he starts. If he can come in, you're talking about me being positive. If he can come in being positive, if he can come in immediately having that impact, there's no greater time to do it than the game we've got coming up in a couple of weeks' time. He could really make himself an unbelievable start who takes us forward. That, for me, gives us a lot of positives. It means that it's something different. It means we've got the opportunity to change our style of play, maybe do something more direct, maybe just make us less predictable and easy to defend against, because it's been so easy playing against United recently that it'd be nice to actually be quite difficult for a change. So there are lots of positives in terms of style of play, in terms of the way this can work. We just need to get him at his best.
Lads, I'm not saying that this is absolutely the God's truth, but Emmanuel Dennis, would you take him? Would you not? Is he similar to what we've already got?
It's just an extension of what we've got, isn't he? I think he's just another Tyrese Campbell, effectively, in that he's going to play on his pace.
With a right foot. That's all it is. Yeah, no thanks. I'm not being funny at all. He's one of the free agents that's been linked with Wednesday. He's clearly at a point in his career now. He was fantastic for a season or two at Watford, and he has fallen off the face of the earth like Wednesday of him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's also, I think, what speaks for itself more than anything, Nick, is that Emmanuel Dennis is 27 years old. He's a free agent in mid-November, who we talk about as having a good season a few years back. He's only 27. That's how his career's going.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrendous. But I think we're going to leave it there unless anyone's got anything more to say. One thing that I was going to bring up was the fact that he's probably on quite a lot of money, which we've already mentioned. But I'm not going to bring that up because we don't care. It's not our money. They want to spend the money and they can spend the money. Let them spend the money. So I always say this. What's the point in talking about money? What's the point in talking about how much Tom Cannon went for? Who cares? Like we're not paying those wages, or we're not paying those transfer fees. So I'll not even touch on that. So thank you very much, lads. Before I go, Ole, has Con persuaded you?
I'm certainly feeling a little bit more positive than I was before. So let's say that he's done a good job of nudging me in the right direction. He's highlighted some of those positives and the things that could make a difference for us. But he's got to be fit. That's the question. He's got to be fit.
Yeah, exactly. Con, has Ollie swayed you the other way?
No, because I'm I'm not delusional. I understand obviously the risks. Not in terms of me saying that Ollie's delusional, by the way. I'm just saying I'm not overly positive about Bamford where I'm like, yeah, this is 100%, it's not gonna go wrong. I understand the risks and I understand the people's reservations about it. But can't get any worse, can it?
No, Luke's saying about we need to improve the midfield. We're not going to talk about City Peck tonight because we've already had you going on about him offline. So we don't want to be talking about it online. Maybe we'll do a City Peck stream just for you, Connor. But I'm not even going to let you reply to that. So thank you very much for joining, Connor. Because I've literally just brought him in last minute because I thought this was too perfect, not two, because we've got two opposing fans, and we love to see that. So thank you, Con. Thank you all. And yeah, we will catch you very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got loads and loads of content coming up for you in the lead up to Sheffield Wednesday versus Sheffield United. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. Up the Blades.
Ollie, ollie, ollie.